Streaming.
So you're going to take your downloads. It's going to go to this PC, Documents, Arma 3, Other Profiles, whichever profile you're currently running, or whichever one you're going to be using. So I'm using this one. It's going to go inside your compositions folder. You just hit that, and it should go in. Sometimes the way people set up their folders are weird, so just double check that they actually dropped out of the folder. So your composition folder should look like this. It should have a bunch of bullshit. Supply pods. Yep. So this one went in perfect. So when you open a folder in here, there should not be another folder. It will be 2 text documents. And that should be for every single folder in here. If you have a folder, like say you downloaded the 19th folder and you dropped it in here, and you open it and it's all this bullshit, you did it wrong. You need to drop all this inside the compositions.
One second, I need to download WinRAR.
You should be able to unzip it. Just
I can't.
7-zip is so much better. I recommend 7-zip.
any reason why?
7-zip is really good, and it extracts better. WinRAR, when it comes to big files, I know, sometimes it messes up things. 7-zip never messes up on a big file.
That is actually very fair. Come to think of it, WinRAR.
It's also just very nice to look at, and it doesn't scream at you to buy their stupid license.
Oh, they don't?
No, you just get it, and this is what it looks like.
So
you just
nice.
have the folders, you can do whatever you want to do. It's very nice, and it's a smaller file size when you compress it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
So it's just objectively better.
It's objectively better. I don't know why nobody uses it. 7-zip is the best.
Because I guess it's not as common.
It's not.
It's not like.
Yeah, but which 7-zip do I open it with? 7ZG, 7ZFN, 7Z.
I just downloaded 7-zip.
Whichever one makes sense.
Like, it makes sense.
So
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
My issue now is I go to the profile I used most recently with 19th, and it doesn't have the compositions folder in it.
Are you in Arma 3 Other Profiles?
Yes.
Documents, Arma 3 Other Profiles, your profile, and you don't have the composition folder?
Yeah, I have
So
Cup, MP missions, op tray, and some other stuff.
So what happened is you probably haven't opened either Zeus mode or you haven't opened Eden Editor. It could be one of those two.
Yeah,
what you can do.
Yeah.
What you can do is you can just right-click, new folder, and then name it exactly compositions, all lowercase, with an S at the end.
Okay.
It has to be letter for letter.
Arma 3 profile. Okay, under that.
With open. Okay.
New folder. Compositions.
Extract all, extract. What? Yeah.
So I want to be going really in-depth with this Skyguide stuff today. I went pretty in-depth last time, but I'm going to give examples for everything I do and everything I use as well. That way you're not confused when it comes to like a real op scenario. Because I told so one example is I told Lank how to use the drop pods, how to use them, why we use them, how you could use them in an op, but I forgot to tell him how many drop pods you could drop. Or no, I said you could drop a few, but he dropped 12 of them on one of Hoplight's positions. It was wild. Everybody was telling me the server died or something.
That is not opening every single thing like it should.
Sometimes when you do it, like especially I think it's the 19th one that might do it.
The Marines NPC one?
Yes. It might extract as the full folder. All you have to do is go into it and then drag everything out in the compositions, and that's it.
Oh, so you just have to. Oh, you have to send it in raw. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Man, Windows 11 is so AIDS to use when you've used Windows 10 for so long.
more.
When you have everything set up, it's pretty simple. Some file, it just depends. I've had it where sometimes it extracts as the full folder, and then you have to drag everything out. But most times, whenever I do it, not to brag, but if a normal person does it, it will end up as like everything unpacks normally as it should.
I see. So you're just God?
Yes.
Obviously.
Alright, I should be good.
Perfect. Is everyone good?
One
Just
second.
about.
1 second. I'm unfortunately.
So everything I tell you here today should also apply to other units, other mods. Well, like let's say you're in the 83rd right now, and you wanted a Zeus, it'll all apply there too. It's just for the Warhammer mod, and it's every single. I don't know why, but every single Warhammer mod for any game that has an editor will have something that breaks and crashes the server. Dawn of War, like Ultimate Apocalypse, or the Warhammer mod for Men of War, or the Warhammer mod for this game. I don't know what it is about Warhammer, but there's always something that crashes the game. I couldn't tell you why.
There's always
Not
gotta be
Stellaris.
Yeah.
Stellaris just crashes if you play the game normally.
Yeah, see, Star Wars just does that by itself.
That's just the game.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly, but it still crashes. Where's copies? Yeah, I gotta fucking extract all this shit.
Oh yeah, the Coveys one will be not as neat as 19th because they all have their own subcategories.
Yeah, I know, but I've used them quite a few times, and just the variety of stuff's kind of nice to have.
It is. The way I've been doing my comms is I like to have it like in order. So I'll have everything be labeled snow, like Snow Army, for instance. But then I'll have it the second word be the category. So Snow Army Air, or Snow Army Squad, Snow Army Vehicle.
Yeah,
that
how do you
way-
set like custom names for your compositions? That's what I want.
So are you talking about like custom names or custom categories?
Custom names and categories.
I'll give a quick thing while Pine's finishing up. But
Oh, I'm already done.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll just do this.
I've been done for a little bit.
I'll just do this really fast. So custom names, you just do that in the editor. When you're making a composition, you can name them whatever you want, but they don't save to a category. So whatever you name that category, it's not going to save to that, or it's going to be stuck in like a shitty category. So if I wanted all these Snow Army guys to be in something other than other, I would have to go in here, go to header, and right here is the category
Change
name.
the categories. You have to do that manually for all of them?
For every single one of them. Because usually it will save
that's
as
too-
category other. And
Yeah.
everything will just be shit in the other category. But yeah, that's all you have to
I
do.
suppose that is good to know.
And that's how you make categories. You just do it for every single one. Category, you want to see army, snow pattern. And that's, the category name is what it'll be called in the custom compositions tab. So like if I go to one of the Covenant ones, that will be the Covenant Levy. You guys have probably seen that one before if you use the Covenant. Or the Covenant Ground, or Covenant Command, and so on and so forth. But if you're all done with downloading, I think that's it for downloads. And now we can get in the game and start reducing. So I got the server up. It's on the first operation we did. Just because I have some examples I want to use on environments, some small examples about Eden, and some other stuff. Since I pretty much made this one on my own, so I know everything about it. I can tell everything about it.
Just a heads up, there will not be enough slots for all the Zeuses.
That's fine.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Why don't you pay for Windows?
Shut up! Shut up!
I mean,
I never notice it until somebody points it out, and it's so annoying.
It just hurts you.
Now, I'm gonna die. I was going to but load it in a Zeus slot. If you can't load it in a Zeus slot, load into a C staff spot. They probably have a Zeus
He'll
slot.
have his Zeus slot. Just load into alt slot. He guaranteed has.
Yeah, just load in an alt slot.
Receiving mission
I
file.
don't like that all, or not all. I think a decent chunk of C staff now has Zeus mode. It's kind of annoying.
Wait, they have it back now?
Yeah, the new comp, the new spawn comp has it that way. It's stupid.
Oh, who set that up?
I think Griff made it, but he had to make it because somebody told him to, not because, Griff was like,
That is
I want to.
Griff removed Canes, so I don't believe he would.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wanted to, but,
Yeah.
when
See, staff does not need Zeus.
They don't. I've argued this, but, Yes, that up. I remember this. This was a good op. I don't think I set it to custom difficulty. I should probably go over that too. You know what? There's only like 3 of us on the server. I'll go over that real fast. Do you guys want to know how to load up a mission on the server?
Go ahead.
Alright. So, if you ever need it, if I'm not around and I'm like on vacation or something, and not having to worry about this, I'll go over that real fast. Now we're all going to disappear in a second.
Awesome.
I can't get into the server.
Yeah, probably because I'm
Didn't
touching
miss much.
Probably touching it too much.
Oh, figured it out.
Okay, perfect. When you're in, switch to the stream, and I'll show you how to
Yeah.
do it.
No, yeah, I had done both.
Okay, so when you're at this, so usually you're at the. If I press back, I'm afraid it might kick me out of the. Yep, I knew it. Anyways, I'm gonna load back on. So I'm in the server now. This is what it looks like when you first join. The first thing you'll need to do when you join a server is hashtag login 19th capital A admin, no spaces. Then you'll log in as admin, and it'll say logged in. Then you do hashtag missions. Then it'll take a second, especially when you first start up the server, because it's slow as fuck. But it'll load up all the missions we currently have on the file. So right now we're on Scotland, and we're going to do Operation Gamble, the first one. And remember this. This is very important. Always put the server difficulty to custom. If you put it on any of these other ones, it's going to be super dog shit and we have to restart. But then, you're done. That's it. All you need to do after that is start the server. It'll load for a little bit. And then you just have to press OK when you get to that screen. You'll come to this screen, just press continue. And boom, server started. Let's get past Nebby's thing.
Even this setup.
Yeah. And there's spawn on main spawn. Whoa. Now this was a fun op. I remember this one. This was a good one. This was a great way to start off the campaign.
This was when I fell out of the ship.
Yes.
The whole ship.
I remember the entire hangar bay exploding. That was the highlight of my day.
Oh, was that wayside or hopside? Because
I think it was both. I think both.
Yeah, that happened both times.
I remember Air kept on flying through the hangar with the longsword, or at the beginning of Wayfinder's side.
Yeah, that was definitely wayside.
Somebody thought it would be a great idea to take off with the longsword and then immediately land.
Oh boy,
Back
how
in
did
the
that
hangar.
go?
I'm going to delete all the 19 vehicles because they cause a shit ton of lag, and I don't feel like dealing with that right now.
Go ahead.
You'll probably notice your frames go up by like 200. Super fucking stupid. Anyways. So, Zeusing, I want to go over the UI first. If you have any questions, interrupt me about the UI. So, how do you get into Zeus mode? Why? Now you're in Zeus mode. So, you should have two screens on your left and right. If they're not, you can just press the edit button. If they're not, you can just press create button, and they should pop up. Your left side is pretty simple. This is all the objects you currently have access to. It'll be sorted by faction. It'll be sorted by empty vehicles. It'll be separated by static objects or vehicle objects and such. You don't really need it unless you're deleting bodies. If you're unsure on how to update your objects, because you'll start the server and you won't have anything on your object list. This is what it'll look like. Your object list will look like... It'll look like this. You'll have access to nothing. So how you do that is you go to the Create tab, you go to the Modules tab, you go all the way down to Update Editable Objects. You press that.
You could just right click though.
You can right click, but that'll only do the an area based one.
No.
This one is really
Set it to
useful.
all mission objects.
Yeah. So I like to do, it depends. You could do all curators, only if you do units and vehicles. Don't update static objects. It's dumb. But you can do all curators. That does it for everybody. It's very useful. Set it to all mission objects, and then do units and vehicles. And now, we have access to everything that you actually need to worry about. Very useful. What A3 was saying is you can also right-click, and that'll bring up another menu. So this one is also very useful. This has the heal tab. You can radius heal people or AI. The edible objects one he was talking about, but this one is a radius of...
No, click on the editable objects thing in the menu. Just click on it when it's open. No. The right click one.
Huh?
Okay, right click, and then click on editable objects.
Uh-huh.
What the? Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. I learn new stuff every day, too. But same thing, you know. Whichever one you want to pick. This one, that one. But yeah, right-clicking, you also teleport yourself around. Very useful. You can toggle pathing on a AI or not. I've been told it works, but I prefer to just do the unit abilities, but I'll go into that later. So, keybinds. You might want to know what those are. So, let's go over flying around. Z and Q are your up and down keys. WASD, obviously, just moves you around. QZ, up, down. There's a couple keybinds here. Backspace takes your HUD off. I don't think you really need anything else other than that. You can also do the movement ones. So let's say, for instance, I need this guy to move a certain direction. What you can do is, if you have him selected, you can hold Shift, drag him around. That's how you drag people in a certain direction. There's also... Oh, yes. You can hold down Alt and drag, and that sets their height. Very useful. Until they die. But I think that's all the important ones. You cannot rotate in Zeus mode. You can only rotate in Editor. So, don't get your hopes up about that. So I can drag this... well, some objects you can drag around. Sometimes arsenals are really laggy, because they have an entire inventory in them. But like this little pillar here, I can drag that around. I can move these trucks. I can, you know, set their height to what I want them to be. Very useful. Delete is your delete key. It deletes the object just straight out. You also have your end key. Your end key will just kill something right out. It'll blow up vehicles. It'll kill dudes. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you were doing something like a cinematic event and something needed to die, you would usually press end. If you delete it in front of players, it's very anticlimactic and it looks bad. Besides that, I think that covers all my keybinds I usually use. Now, let's go over to the right side, the create side. This side, you'll be using the side more than anything else. So this is your most important one. I'll go over the categories first. So it's separated into units, groups, modules, markers, and recent. We'll go over units first. The units tab is all your single stuff. So you can get your vehicles, you can get single men, or you can get static objects. If you go to the groups tab, you cannot get static objects unless they are already like a composition. The single unit tab has a lot more. It's much more useful. So you can get all types of things. You can get graffiti, you can get buildings, you can get structures, cargo containers, all types of props. In the single tab, you also have access to blue for independent and civilian. Everything that's important. Usually, what I use the single tab for is just vehicles. So, let's say for instance, we are, hold on, let me set side relations real fast. I'll go over this one in a little bit too. So, let's say I wanted to place down a couple vehicles. If I go to the Covenant one, which we usually use, the comp we have only has like ghosts. That's it. So if I wanted vehicles, I will always go to the units tab. I'll just pick out what I want, like an APC, or I could pick out an AA Wraith, or I could pick out a tank, or I could pick out turrets, or I could pick out scarabs. I'll go over scarabs specifically later as well. Don't spawn one. Air vehicles, you can also get single buy for specific infantry you wouldn't normally see in a squad-based one. Like you can select what type of Web Knight AI you want, or whatever you need. And that's the basics of units. I usually just use this for vehicles. The group tab is your most important tab. You will not use any of these because we have our own custom compositions we use for enemies. So if you go into your empty tab, you should see something at the bottom called custom compositions. And when you open it, you should see all the stuff you just got. You should see the Covenant stuff, you should see the 19th stuff, and you should see supply pods. God knows where. I have too many comps. You can also search. So supply pods.
My pods are at the bottom in UNSA.
Yeah, yep. I got way too many. But anyways, This is your most important one. This is where you'll do all your stuff at. This is where you spawn all your stuff. This is where you get all your stuff from. You don't really need to spawn. You don't need or you don't want to spawn units from the faction tab because they won't have our stuff. They might have extra stuff we don't need, and they might break. Questions?
Never mind. I thought I believed myself, but I just moved myself somewhere else.
You go.
Hi.
I found myself.
How did you
Oh, he might be in the so sometimes just press Y again and then get back in.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes the Zeus mode kind of gets a little funky wonky. So sometimes when you press Y, you'll actually turn into a bird and you'll just fly around and your Zeus icon will fly around. It happens. It's not a big deal. But yeah, this is where all your custom comp stuff is. You'll always use this tab. Now I can spawn everything I need in here. Very useful. Now I will go over the... I think now is a good time to go over the compositions. And we'll go to modules, markers, and recent later. So, our compositions. 19th, this is just us. We use this as from the AI. You won't really see him too much. Next stop, you might see a little bit of him. But our main one is the enemy comps, the Covenant. So I'll go down what each category is, and I'll tell you how to use them. The first one is the Covenant Command. They are separated by melee and teams. The teams will have weapons, the melee will have energy swords. They're separated between stuff like, hold on. Let me TPS to somewhere you can actually place them. Ham, did you load in? Ham?
Do you need me to? Because I was loading it for the firefight third.
Oh, that's fine.
Or anything.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't need you to load in. I mean, you pretty much already know all this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to TPS so we can actually place stuff down. So what you can do here is you get your melee, Obviously, it's separated by generals and honor guard. It's pretty simple. Elite team, they have weapons. General, they have weapons. Now, here is the first time you'll see this. This is the tier list. So, it's 1 and then 2. It goes by 1 is the lowest rank, 2 is the highest rank. So, a General 1, I think, has 3 Ultras and 1 General. A General 2 will have all Generals. You'll see this reoccurring a lot throughout these. The next one is one of your main ones. Is the oh no, not this one. Covenant Grounders are some turrets and some ghosts. You don't really need this one. This is the main one. Covenant Lance. So the difference between Lance and Levy is Lance is a squad, Levy is a support unit. So for Lance, you'll find these are all elite-based squads or hunter-based squads. Your first one is Elite Infantry. Elite Infantry will always be a elite leading a jackal team. A elite patrol team will always be an elite leading a grunt team. Now, the difference between the tiers is the first one will always be a minor elite.
Oh.
The second one will always be a officer elite, the red ones. And the third one will always be an ultra elite, the white ones. And there might be some minor changes in the support infantry loadout. So like the jackals might get like an extra needle or two. The difference between the elite patrol teams here, between heavy and standard, is that the elite patrol team heavy has a shit ton of plasma grenades. These grunts will throw like it's no tomorrow. I recommend using this one and not the standard one. The standard one is nice, but it's kind of lame.
Understood.
I prefer my grunts to throw plasma grenades. These guys will also go suicide mode if you get too close to them. There's another reason to like the heavy ones. Now we get to the Elite Patrol Team Ultras. So the Elite Patrol Team Ultra 1 and 2.
On the way.
The difference between this is the 1 is led by an Ultra. The 2 is led by a General. With a team of Ultra Grunts. Now we're on to Elite Teams by themselves. These are just Elite Squads. So you got your Major Squad, your Minor Squad, your Standard Squad, Ultra Squad, and Ultra 2 Squad. So, your first one, your Major Squad. This one will be... One second. I gotta change this shit to something I can actually see. Prepare your eyes.
Oh,
So, the Officer Squad. A officer team will always be an officer leading 3 minor elites. A minor team will be 4 minors. I think this is the elite team standard. The standard elite team will be an ultra officer leading 2 minor elites. The ultra 1 will be 2 ultras and 2 officers, and the ultra 2 will be all ultras. Very simple. The tier system is very helpful. Now you get onto the hunter patrols.
Solid copy.
You
On
might
the
be
way.
asking yourself,
On the way.
what is the
On
difference?
the way.
I'll tell you a secret. There is no difference. The only thing different about these guys is their colors. So you can spawn these guys in any order you want. I quite like spawning the Ultra Hunters, because they're pretty fucking scary. But you can also spawn the gold ones, you could spawn the heavy ones that are red, or you could spawn the normal
Solid copy.
blue ones. Honestly, just is up to you. Now, how do we use them? So, I'll tell you what's going on right now, is we're trying to be more realistic with how we spawn Covenant. We're trying to be more game accurate. So, in an op, you'll see a lot of minor elites, a lot of grunts, a lot of jackals, and you'll see officers kind of like leading their charges, but you will not normally see an ultra. We save ultras for the bosses of objectives, and we save generals for the bosses of AOs. So ultras will always be like a mini boss, and we treat generals as a big boss. That's how we're doing that. For instance, I'll TP us to the kill zone that some of you may recognize. It's a pretty good example of what I did. Oh, and shift is to go super fast with your camera. Hang find the airfield. It's this way. I can tell because my game's lagging. There we go. Somewhere over here. There we go. Some of you might remember this area. This this shithole. So last time we were here, I treated this as a officer headquarters. So this is where you would spawn your ultra teams. This is where you spawn your general teams. They would be guarding a heavily defended, like, final objective like this. So instead of just throwing ultras and generals and field marshals out like they're just, you know, like cannon fodder, you treat them like they should be treated. You treat them as they're like the bosses. And that's the Covenant Lands category. Now we get into Levy. Levy means support units. So, this is where all your support units are. You got the grunt teams. This is the same as the squads. Heavy means a shit ton of plasma grenades.
On the way.
Mixed,
Solid copy.
you got a couple of plasma grenades. And standard, you have like jack shit. Ultra just means they're ultra
the
guns.
way.
They got more health. They also throw plasma grenades. And now you get into jackals. The jackals are very unique. So the first category you have is the line category. So line and phalanx. What does that mean? These guys will not move. They will stay in this shield wall no matter what. They will stay in this formation too. It's the same thing. The tiers just mean what weapons they have for jackals. So tier 1 would have like plasma pistols or something shitty like that. Tier 2 would maybe have like plasma rifles. And tier 3 will have needlers. They're very scary. I also think there is an armor change. For phalanx, it's a bit more dramatic. So for phalanx 1, you would have like carbines. For 2, you would have the needle rifles. But for 3, you have beam rifles. Now I'll give you a little side note. Beam rifles are one-hit kill. Doesn't matter what type of armor you're wearing. They will kill you. It doesn't matter. So be very wary with spawning those. Now the other jackals, it's quite simple. So your first one you'll come up with that can move is the marksman squad. Now marksman squad I believe has carbines. No, the marksman squad has needle rifles. These guys are pretty deadly. I like to use them a lot. They're pretty nifty to put with a normal squad of shield jackals. The next one is the shitty jackals. These guys don't know how to shoot a weapon, so they've been given storm rifles that kind of suck ass. You see these guys a lot, probably. They fire this shitty little rifle. Very bad. Use these guys a lot more than the other guys. Or you could use the other guys as support infantry. But the next one is sharpshooter. This one is carbines. These ones are pretty deadly too, but not as deadly as snipers. Jackal snipers, you want to be extremely careful with. Like I said, beam rifle one hit, one kills. And these guys will annihilate squads. Then you got the jackal squads. You got jackal squad, which is just a shit ton of shield jackals. Then you got jackal team, which is 4 shield jackals. Now, what I like to do to spice things up, because as you can probably guess, a full squad of jackal shields sucks to fight. Nobody likes doing it. So what I've done is I like to do a 3 combo. So you have a jackal team, you have a jackal rifle squad, and then you mix in a jackal marksman squad, and you all send them at the same place. So now you have shield guys that'll take the damage. You have rifle guys that'll just shoot a bunch and miss everything. And then you guys got the guys that do the damage, the needle rifles. It's just another way you can think about mixing up your comps. You know, make them interesting, make them realistic. This is how jackals would probably advance on a human position. The next category is a very fun one. We use this one primarily for ambushes. So you have this one's also differentiated between melee and teams. Your first ones are your elite melee, get your silent shadow, spec ops, and your stealth. There's no health difference between these guys. The silent shadow has a kind of broken armor right now, so don't use them, I guess. It's up to you. Clover said don't use them, but I think they look fine. You get your Spec Ops and you get your Stealth. It doesn't matter which one you use. You could use Spec Ops, you could use Stealth, whichever one works for you. There's no difference. That's also separated between 1, 2, 3.
On the way. We'll go.
I think the difference
the
between
way.
1, 2, 3 is the type of elite leading it. The first one is just normal Spec Ops. The second one is normal Spec Ops, but he has a chance to carry a concussion rifle. And the third one will always be an Ultra. Not quite Spec Ops, but it will always be an Ultra for Tier 3. Then you got your elite teams, obviously. Silent Shadow, Spec Ops Stealth. Same thing as the melee dudes. Their composition doesn't really matter either. Use them as you want. Then you get your special teams. So the Grunt Team Spec Ops is pretty simple. It's just the same grunts as always. You got Hunter Patrol, you got Spec Ops Hunters. These guys are pretty scary to encounter. I recommend using them. But the big changes are the Jackal Spec Ops. Jackal Spec Ops are the ones that have the biggest changes to them. So, a line formation, remember, these guys will always have their move off, and they will stay. But the Jackal Spec Ops have a unique loadout. They have all needlers, and they have all needle rifles behind them. This is one of my favorite squads to put down. They're very effective at killing people, and they're just very good Jackals to use. Obviously, don't use too many. Needle rifles suck to fight, but it can be pretty funny at times. Then you got your Covenant Sword category. This is where you'll find all your regular elite melee that isn't like a general or an ultra or something. You got your miners, it's a 4-man squad. Your majors, it's another 4-man squad. But it's just a major leading a team. And then you got your double ultra squad. Who did it? There we go. But yeah. So that's all your comps that you'll be using. The 19th comps, I don't really have to go over this one. It's just your squads, vehicles. You got special stuff too, like ODSTs, naval staff, or commanders. You'll only ever use this if there's friendlies in the area, and for this you can kind of use whatever the hell you want. Sometimes I like to put sniper teams around, give them like little information. But that's your comps you'll be using mainly, is the Covenant. So now, let's go on the long one. This one's going to take a little bit, but actually, before I do that, I'm going to do a little segue into the compositions again. So when you're placing infantry, you got to remember what a regular squad can handle. Now, a lot of you guys are ground guys, so you can probably get a pretty good idea what one squad can handle. Whenever I'm placing infantry, I like to do primarily grunt teams led by an elite. So if I was facing one whole squad, I would say either 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. But usually you want to keep it 2 to 1 and play around with that. And if they're doing really good, you can do 3 to 1. So 2 squads for 1 19 squad would be how you usually would do it. You can also mix this up. So if you have a Jackal squad that's all shields, you can include extra grunts.
Roger.
Or you can include extra Jackals, and that would be fair. Jackals and grunts are very easy to kill unless they are the shield variant. Elite teams, you can do that as well. What I'm trying to say is you can mix and match a lot to make unique combinations. Like, say I roll a really heavy elite presence, I would spawn like a standard elite squad or just a minor squad. But behind them, I would have, say, a couple Jackal teams. So like 2 Jackal shield teams. And that would be an attack wave. Or say I want a heavy grunt squad
Solid
team.
copy.
I'd have those guys. And behind them would be a Hunter Ultra Bear.
Copy that.
You got to think about what's fair to fight for the players. Spawning down like 6 Hunters is not fun. Spawning down a shit ton of shields, not fun. Spawning down a shit ton of melee elites is not fun either. Melee elites can be very fun, but you gotta know how to use them and when to use them. You gotta remember that your first priority when you're Zeusing is the players need to have fun. That is priority number 1. You're not playing an RTS game. You're not playing to win. You're trying to give them a bloody nose, obviously, but you're not trying to be like cringy about it. You're not like, I'm gonna kill 20 of them for taking this one objective. The biggest advice I can give on that is play around with it, test what the players can handle, and then go from there. Have fun with it. But that's all. That's what I have to say about that for now. Now let's go into this one. This one is going to take a second, so I'm going to go grab me a cream soda real fast so I can talk through this. So a little water break.
I'm going
Go
to get a
for it.
Diet Coke.
Oh shit, I could go for a cream soda right now. I should actually break these gloves.
Man, Diet Coke is good.
You have an addiction.
We're almost out in the fridge, by the way.
Are we actually? Well, I guess you're gonna have to bring up the pack from downstairs, aren't you?
Alright, I'm back. Is everybody here?
Welcome back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Alright. Addie, get me something to drink because this next one's going to take a second. Alright. Let's start off from top to bottom. So your first category might be your most important category. Sci-Fi Covenant. Don't touch anything in here. Don't spawn anything. Because I'm going to go very specific. That goes as a general rule of thumb. There's a lot of stuff in here that can break things. So I'm going to go over what can break the server. The armed cruiser. That will break the server. I've also been told that the armed cruisers do not work in multiplayer, which is very sad. However, we have ways of making our own, so it's not that big of a loss. The glassing strike. This one is a very circumstantial thing. When you're doing an op, it's not fun to have glassing strikes go off every like 5 seconds. And these glassing strikes are also used very sparingly. And it's usually reserved for like an end of the campaign thing, or a start of the campaign thing, or if something big's happening. Like I said, circumstantial. You won't use this in a normal op unless it calls for it. But how it works... Here, I'll place it down so you guys can see how this goes. Let me turn it so you actually see the fucking environment. Weather sucks. Perfect. Alright, so, glassing strike. Put it over here. So, for the glassing strike, what you can do with it is you can set in the direction the Covenant ship approaches from. So I want it to approach from the south. I want the radius. What you usually do is you'll set the radius to 0. Because if you leave it on normal, a lot of people will die. A lot of people will die. Probably the whole platoon. And sometimes you want that to happen, but most times you want it to be cinematic. Very rarely do we try to kill everybody with a glassing strike. But yeah, you can also set the ship to jump out afterwards. In this case, I want it to stay. So it's coming in from the south. Now, another thing you'll notice about these FTO ships, a lot of Sci-Fi Plus stuff, it's very laggy to start off with, and it's very server intensive. So when you're doing this stuff, you gotta make sure your server is clean, a lot of bodies are cleaned up, and you gotta make sure it's stable. If you do this in the middle of desync, it's gonna cause a lot of crashing. But this is a glassing strike. They fixed it recently, so we'll be using this a lot more. Back in the day, we used to just use the TTS beam laser, which a lot of you are familiar with. I'll give a little example of that one. So that's how we're going to start doing it. This is how we used to do it, is the beam laser. But that was back in the day. Now we actually have a proper working glassing strike, and it's very nice. Besides that, your next one is going to be your insertion pods, and I wanted to very specifically say the insertion pods are laggy. They are laggy. Do not spawn 12 of these. When you're spawning... say what?
Nothing. I was making a joke.
Oh. Okay. So when you're spawning these in, don't spawn 12. I would say the max you can spawn in for all of these would be like 3 or 4 at a time. And that's pushing it. I would say try to go with maybe 1 or 2. If you want to be reasonable. So... I'll tell you how we use the heavy insertion pod. So the heavy insertion pod, you can select the side, make sure it's always set on op 4. For the type select, we used to do Web Knight Halo, but now what we like to do is we like to do Jackals. Now why is that? Because Web Knight Halo will spawn a random assortment of elites. That could be a field marshal, that could be a general, an honor guard, it could be anybody. And that goes against what we're trying to do with making more realistic squad compositions. So, what you do is set up for the heavy insertion pod, put it where you want, and you will very quickly go to groups, whatever squad you want to place down. So I want to place down a heavy grunt squad. And the second it lands, you spawn the squad behind it. And it looks like a grunt squad came out of this pod. But you also have like 3 little shitty jackals too. But that's how we use it now. We always use jackals, and then you spawn the squad you want behind it. That could be a hunter squad, special warfare, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. The squad that drops with the pod will always be out of your editor. So whenever you can just, hit this real fast, update, and boom, they're in your editor. And that is the heavy insertion pod. The hunter insertion pod is much simpler. You just place it, and you're done. This one usually just drops 1 hunter. Something that Clover likes to do is he'll spawn another hunter behind that. But, problem is, our hunters come in teams with grunts. So, if you spawn a hunter pod and you wanted just 1 more hunter, what you could do real fast is, like I was saying in the units tab, you can go in here, and go to the red one, spawn them in real quick before anybody notices.
Ready.
And, just drag him to the other dude. And boom, you get a hunter pair. Out of a
Real
100 drop
quick, where did you get that visible marker thing? When you're placing units down, it tells you if it's visible or not.
Let me check if I remember what this is. If you go to your game options and you go all the way down to, I think it's Zen? Zeus Enhanced. You have a couple options here. There's the Add Objects to Curators one, there's the... There's a lot of options here, but the one I want... It might be in the main menu. You might have to go to that one. You also got Placement Preview. That one is very nice as well.
Where? Ooh, that sounds really nice.
I'm actually going to enable that one too. Placement Preview is the first one in Zeus Enhanced, first category.
Yeah.
I don't remember where the visibility one is. It's somewhere in here. It might be attributes. No.
It's the visibility indicator. It's right there.
Where?
Right above vision modes, like towards the bottom. Below editor. Yep, visibility indicator.
Oh, yeah, so you also have this. This is very useful to see if a player can see what you're doing. I say turn this on. You need this on. Because there's a lot of times you won't see somebody. I've had this a lot during ops too. I'll be placing stuff and I'll look behind me and there's a full squad of dudes just looking at me place stuff. So I turned it on. Never had that issue anymore. Another thing, one small issue with it is air will always see what you're doing, so make sure the red line is not towards the squad. If it's towards air, that's fine. When it comes to Zeusing and a drone or an aircraft is up above you, don't worry about them too much. They're always going to see what you're doing. Don't feel bad about spawning stuff in their view. Only feel bad if you spawn stuff in the view of armor or infantry. That's all you have to worry about. If there's a drone overhead and I'm setting up this AO, I'm just going to spawn stuff right in front of them. If air is doing like a combat mission, like somewhere way over there, I'm just going to spawn stuff here. Or if they're like just doing a flyby. However, if air is actively doing a gun run on the space or they're attacking the space, it's kind of not okay to just spawn stuff like right in the middle of it. It would be okay to spawn stuff out of sight, like on the sides here, and have them like come out as if they were coming out of the base. That's just one example. Just use your common sense. Make it make sense. But yeah, that's a 100 insertion pod. The light insertion pod, very simple as well. You can select what type of elite drops. Don't select any of these. These are Optray. Sword Elite IMS. That one was also in the heavy drop pod. Sword Elite IMS is just a bunch of Sword Elites. Very cool, very awesome. Web Knight Halo is a randomized elite. I'd say don't use this, because it might pop out a Field General. It might pop out a Honor Guard. But sometimes we're forced to use it. So like this time it popped out a Stealth Elite. Yeah, it's popped out a Spec Ops Elite. Very quick, always make sure to add objects. You'll see this a lot. Sometimes when other Zeuses are placing stuff, or all the time when they're placing stuff, you won't see what they did. So just, you know, keep updating your objects. And make sure your update objects is set to all curators too. That way, you only have to do it once for everybody. Not everybody has to keep running around like headless chickens. Needle Storm. So I'll go over these. The Needle Storm, the Plasma Bomb, the Plasma Lance, the Plasma Mortar, the Plasma Storm, the Plasma Torpedo, and the SDV Bombardment. So these ones you will rarely use. Needle Storm. These are all kind of just environmental things. It's not cool to be killed by something you can't kill. If there was a mortar on the map and it was shelling the dudes, that's fair. But this is just a module. This is just something they can't do anything about, and it's unfair. And it kind of sucks to die to. The Needle Storm, I think this one is explosive. You can set the amount, you can set the radius. So I want like, I don't know, 15 shots right there. Yeah, that one's like a light grenade, sort of. Or like a concussion rifle. Then you got the Plasma Bomb. Don't spawn this. I'll show you why. The Plasma Bomb, it's pretty cool. Sometimes, very rarely, sometimes you can spawn this as like a cinematic thing. But, yeah, it's massive. It's giant. It's supersized. It is funny, though. I remember one op, I had a bomb defusal going on one of those Covenant big bombs. And they failed. They failed horribly. It didn't end well for them. The next one is the Plasma Lance. So this one, I like to use this one for cinematic stuff, like when a ship is in orbit. So like, let's say we are losing and we're getting our shit curbed in, and a Covenant ship has jumped in atmosphere. So what I like to do is I like to use the Plasma Lance and place it around the players, or like around the environment, to, you know, really get the mood set. Now, the Plasma Lance was recently updated as of 2 weeks ago, and this is the new Plasma Lance effect.
Ooh.
It's a lot heavier than what it used to be.
Ain't that pretty?
Yes. Very nice. It also has a cool color effect at nighttime. Then you get the Plasma Mortar. This one is just a radius one. Don't use these, because I like to place mine manually. Because if you do this one in a radius, it might just kill a bunch of players. Plasma Storm. This one I think is just gun. Maybe? This one might also be explosive. I don't use these often. You can probably tell. Yeah, this one's also explosive. Just don't use these too often. The plasma torpedo is pretty simple. It's basically just a fuel rod shot. They also take a little bit to deploy. But yeah, these are just fuel rods. They're very deadly to vehicles, very deadly to infantry. They land where you place them. Don't use them too much. There's a couple other things in here, but I'll leave QRF and troop deployment for last. Resupply pods, don't use these. Scarab drop, this will crash the server. Don't use the Scarab drop. SDV bombardment, this is new. It kind of sucks ass. I'll show you how. So I'm going to do southeast. So I think the direction is it comes from. Bombing distance is how far it's going to go before it, jumps out. And I'm going to set it to jump out after, it gets done. So this, I thought this was going to be a lot cooler when it first came out a couple weeks ago, but the effects, like the ship moving and the engine, is cool. But look at the bombardment; it's just a straight line.
Is that a texture bug?
What?
Is that like a texture bug or something?
Which one? Like what?
The gray line.
No.
Just the bombardment in general.
No.
Hmm.
Talking about this green line right here?
No, I thought you were talking about there being like just a gray line to denote where the shells land.
No. As in, like, this just sucks. It just goes in a straight line. There's no like bombardment about this. It literally just goes in a straight line, drops a bomb. It just looks dumb to me. The ship itself looks cool as shit, like with the engines going and everything. But the bombardment part of it looks kind of dumb. It's just kind of stupid. But yeah, that'll go for 500 meters, and then it'll give you a nice little warning that it's jumping out. And the next one is the Spirit Vehicle Drop. So, you have a bunch of infantry. They're clamming your ass good, and you need to do something to stop them. Something you can do is the Spirit Vehicle Drop. Now, granted, air gives you a moment of respite to do this. And sometimes it might not be a good idea to do this, because it's kind of buggy. So, I'm going to try and set it to come from the south. Or no, I'm going to set it to come from the west. It's separated between green and red. Green is independent, red is op 4. So usually you do not want a concussion turret. Concussion turrets will destroy people. The Locust will not move. The Locust is it's basically just a turret with legs. The Wraith tank, and all this other stuff, it's very nice, very cool. If you're wondering, the Spectre that has guns is AI. It doesn't mean like AI isn't like the AI, it means anti-infantry. Stupid way to name it, I know. Make sure you always press add crew, so it has crew. Set the insert distance to be kind of high, because you don't want infantry to just spot it outright. And you gotta be mindful to air too, because this will just spawn. And yes, you don't really need to do safe passage moves, but it should spawn to the west. Now this is what I mean by it being bugged. It'll kind of just spawn in a random direction. It will not spawn in the way you want it to. It's kind of dumb.
South.
Now the problem is, if I wanted it to come from the west and the west was clear, that'd be okay. But let's say, for instance, that since it spawned in the south on accident, there was another infantry squad over there, and they just saw that thing spawn in front of them, and it's shooting at him now. You just got to be mindful of that. Just try to be careful with these. Another problem, when they get shot down, they'll do something weird. But I'll do that after it starts flying away. But he'll come in. Don't direct control these, or else you'll break their AI. Unless you really want to just land it by yourself. But it'll come in, it'll drop it off, and then it'll fly away. And it's not very gentle about it either. I kind of just eat whatever the fuck is in the troop A. But yeah. Vehicle drop done. Now sometimes some of the vehicles bug out. Like for instance, the Spectre will keep turning off its engine no matter what I do. Even if I go to like drive it myself. the engine will keep turning off. Super weird. Spirit vehicle drops are just kind of bugged right now. It's very useful, but kind of buggy. Now for the next one. Oh, yes. So I tested these out last stop. You guys probably saw them. But the QRF deployment and the troop deployment are very new things. They work, thankfully, but I cannot stress this enough. Your server has to be very stable. And it has to have... So what I had to do these is I had to delete almost all my dead bodies. I had to make sure there was almost no enemy squads on the field. I had to make sure the server was actually running well. And I cannot stress that enough. Because these are very intensive, and I'll show you why. The QRF is a lot less intensive. This one spawns in a Corvette, and it'll drop a bunch of drop pods. You can select which side they're on, opt for, obviously, which direction it comes from. The light drop pod selection. This will go into where I talk about how now you have to use the Web Knight Halo dudes, and you might get a bunch of like field marshals and shit, but for how cool this is, you know, it's not a big deal. So I would say the max amount of light drop pods you can do is 8. 8 is your max. Banshees, I will say your max is 2. So don't go above this number. It could go a lot higher, but don't do it. These drop pods are very intensive for how many people we have on the server. And I want it to jump out afterwards. So, go to comment. You'll notice a brief lag spike. And then it'll start doing some cool shit. It'll start dropping a bunch of drop pods. Once that's done, edit objects, update, and boom, you have all your dudes. And since they're all their own squad, they rush people down. They are pretty scary, especially because a lot of them will have conch rifles. So see what I mean? We got a spec ops, we got a I think it's an officer elite, a major, a field marshal, a minor. It's just a bunch of random shit. Just keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna go over the other one. So, troop deployment. This one you have to make sure your server's doing extra good. No lag. Gotta make sure all your dead bodies are deleted. Gotta make sure everything's cleaned up. This one you can do a lot more with. So for this one, I want this one to come in from the west. I want it to be this. I want it to be that. So heavy drop pods, light drop pods, and 100 drop pods is what you can do with this. So what I did last time is I did 2 heavies, 6 lights, and then 200 drop pods. And I would say that is about the max you could drop. Because you gotta think, that's 10 drop pods you're dropping, which is quite a lot. Yeah, that's good. So this one will spawn a cruiser, like way up in the atmosphere. And the pods will start dropping.
Is this new?
Yeah, it's very new.
No wonder.
I
It's really
tested
cool.
it last time. You'll notice the server is kind of lagging right now, and that's just with the 4 of us on it. I made it work last stop, but you just gotta be careful. Gotta be very, very, very careful. But yeah, this one is very cool. You can drop everything you need. Hunters, full-size squads, light drop pods. You can set the light drop pods, will have sword elites. This one's very cool. Yeah, update objects. And boom, you have everything. It's just a very, very fun way to deploy troops. You can't use this all the time. I only use this, like, I use the troop deployment one, so this one, I use this once. And then I was scared to use it afterwards. The SDV, the QRF deployment, the light drop pod one, I use that one like 2 or 3 times. That one you can get away with a little bit more. But very, you know, not a lot, like I said. So that's the Covenant tab. Now, this one, ignore this. Exterminatus, you're never going to use this. FTL systems, don't worry about this right now. He's kind of borked his mod for that part of it. Sci-fi UNSC, you'll usually never use this. But you know, you get all your stuff you could possibly use for support. If you want to do something cinematic, you know, you could have like friendly archers on standby. And it drops a bunch of missiles, obviously. Armed frigate, don't use that. That has so many turrets on it and it lags the server to shit. And it doesn't work in multiplayer. Then you got the Max Strike. This one's new as well. There's those archer missiles. So this one is... It might be pretty cool for cinematic stuff, because it's a lot better than what it used to be. So this one, you have to find it. I think it's jumping over here. Yeah, it's a fucking massive explosion. Max Strike. Super cool. Makes a big crater. Crater has a bunch of fire effects. You might use this once in a while. Orbital autocannon, same thing as the Covenant ones. Be careful with these. Don't use them too often. And that's it for that. Don't use the orbital vehicle deployment. Don't use the resupply pods. Don't use the Pelican vehicle drop. Don't use the squad insertion pod. Don't use the structural reinforcement. Very bad.
Is there any reason, or is it just not what we want to do?
Not what we want to do. Pelican
Yeah,
vehicle drop, there's no point. It's just a waste of AI resources. Squad, same thing. For the squad one, we would have to use base hop tray stuff, and we don't like that. Structural reinforcement, that one's kind of lame. It doesn't have anything good in it. It's kind of just turrets and like a shack or some shit. Super lame. Orbital vehicle deployment, that one might be kind of cool, but air likes to do all the stuff. They don't like, you know, being stepped on, I guess, is what I would say. Alright, now we're done with Sci-Fi Plus. Now, we'll go to Ace AI. And for this one is pretty simple. Defend area, don't use this. Garrison group, you can use this one. So this, what Garrison group does, is if you don't know, if you just spawn a squad down, like I'll say the shitty squad is nearby the hangars.
On the way.
If I put Garrison Group on them, on the squad leader, I can select how far this is going to go, so 200 meters, teleport, yes. Fill, yes. And it'll put them in defense positions, and the hangar is not a good example, but you get what I mean by it. And they'll stay there. Well, they might stay there. We get headless client. Paradrop cargo, don't use that. Search area, don't use that. Search nearby building, don't use that. Toggle NVGs, don't use that. Ungarrison group, ungarrison group. That's Ace AI. Ace Captive. This one is pretty cool too. So, let's say for instance, these are my cool guys.
Copy that.
So let's say these guys right here, right? They've been fighting a long, tough battle with us. We've been killing them for like the entire op. And you're at the point where like, wow, I feel like these guys would start like giving up because they're getting shit on so hard. So you can toggle surrender. You can make like nice little cinematic events where you're like, oh, please don't shoot me, and then they shoot you anyways because they're a bunch of war criminals. Or you could have like you're saving these guys, so these guys are actually captives. Put them in their little captive corner. We're like, oh, you gotta rescue these guys. Good thing they aren't dead.
It will be soon.
That's that. Very simple. Ace Medical, you might use the assigned medic one sometimes. Because armor and aviation sometimes don't get their medical perms. So you have to assign medic to them. That's it. And you're done. And the other one, so this one is kind of a two-parter. So toggle unconscious. Congratulations, Pine. You're now unconscious.
No!
What you can do is you right-click on them, press heal, and they're back. So why do I do that? Sometimes people will have the down bug where they will be sliding across the floor. So all you have to do is toggle unconscious and then heal them. And they will not be in the animation anymore. They'll be fixed and they can run around, free as a bird. Ace Repair, you won't really need this one. There's nothing in here. Ace Utility, you don't need anything in here. Very useless. AI, this one is pretty nice. So the first ones we have is
Solid copy.
the ambient animation. This is one of my favorite ones. So always put them on combat ready unless you want them to move immediately upon hearing one gunshot, which is probably never. So put them on no combat ready. So what I like to do is I like to play around with these guys. Depends on which ones work on which guys. So, and I want that guy to look cool. Want that guy to, I don't know, be crouching next to him, sucking his dick or something. So, how can you liven up an environment? Friendlies. In nice little ambient animations. You can use this to spice up environments, spice up some roleplay elements. You can also have enemies doing this, but you will put them in the combat ready sense, so they can actually engage people. But this is a very nice way to liven up ops. It makes them look good. It makes them look like some actual effort was put into them. If you ever need to stop the animation, just press go up to the top, stop animation, and they'll be back to
On the way.
shooty mode. But that's that. Ambient flyby, you will very, very, very rarely use this one, unless it is for friendlies. Why? Very simple. The ambient flyby will always be invincible. So I saw it happen in one op where somebody placed down a ambient flyby for banshees, but the banshees were just invincible, so everybody was shooting at them and it wasn't doing jack nothing. And it looked very bad too. So ambient flyby, what does it do? This is a very cool module. I really like this one. But again, like I said, you gotta make it work. So I'll give you a... I don't know, I'll go with our 19th stuff. Longswords, why not? You can set the direction they fly towards. So I want them to fly towards the east. I want them to fly at a fixed altitude of very low. I want them to go 5,000. I want their speed to be fast. I want it to be 3 of them. So now, from the west, there will be a flight of 3 longswords flying in formation. And here in a second, they'll fly over us and look really cool doing it. I don't know why I'm playing Mexican music. Oh, it's Legend of Zelda. Same thing.
We can't hear it.
But yeah, cool as fuck. I love the ambient flyby module, but you gotta remember, they are invincible. They will not die. So you can use the Covenant ones if you're on a stealth op and there's no friendly armor, there's no friendly air, and nobody's really like shooting at them. But for the most part, you'll only use this for friendlies. Very cool, very awesome sauce. Don't use this too often. This is also a very rare one you'll use. It's kind of like a at the start of the app thing, like when everybody's like stepping off, or at the end of the app when I don't know, AI show up to save the day, like they always do. Wink, wink. Then you got chatter. Don't use that. It's kind of lame. Convoy perimeters, don't use that. Critic gunner, don't use that. Fly eye, don't use that. Garrison group, same thing as the one from Ace AI, but Ace AI is better. And that's that. Global AI skill. This one is very useful for when you're using human enemies. So like the innies, for example. So what does this do? You can edit their skill. You can make them John Wick. Just make sure you have global skill enabled. So now these guys are 100% skill. The only issue is, only these guys are 100% skill. If I spawn down a new squad,
Copy that.
these guys will not be 100%, despite the fact it says they're at 100%. They will not be at 100% skill. You have to redo it for every time you spawn something new. So if you do it you would have to spawn them in waves, and then do the global AI. Now you probably won't be using this for the sole reason. The only reason we used this was if I can only place so many AI. Like you guys probably remember the laggy as fuck Baghdad op,
Yes.
the Iraq op.
Yep.
I could place like maybe 2 squads before the server started shitting itself. That's it. So I had to make all the AI on 100% skill, just so they would put up a fight. That's just one example. You'll usually never use this, so don't bother with it. Patrol area, don't use that. Search building, don't use that. Sit on chair, don't use that. Suicide bomber, we do not like suicide bombers. They're stupid. They're dumb. Unless like a situation really calls for it, don't use them. They're dumb. They're also stupid. Because I've heard things. Some people like to they'll put this guy as a suicide bomber. They'll walk up to you and be like, hey man, hey, you want to talk about some stuff? And then they'll blow up in your face. Dumbest shit ever. Don't do that. It's not fun. It's not fun to fight. A lot of complaints. And the next one, this one's very interesting. So I'm gonna have a tank spawn real fast.
Ready for orders.
I'm also gonna have a Oh, if you're wondering how I just did that, if you want to disband a squad or band a squad together, you drag, hold down control, and drag. And now I can place that guy in his squad, or I can click drag away, and now they're disbanded. Very useful. So now I want these guys in a squad together. So the next one, suppressive fire. Very cool. You can also put them on vehicles. What you want to do for this, though, is single shot slow, always, for vehicles. Or tanks, specifically. I don't think the stance matters, but I always put it on standing. And tire grouping, you select it, and then you get a little cursor on where you want to place it. I want to place it on over here. So now, this tank is going to go fucking ballistic mode. It's very cool for making like a fire. Or if like the Covenant, you want them to start shooting at like a wall or something to make it cinematic. Suppressive fire is very useful. Because this is firing way faster than it normally would.
Standing by.
Do not make this mistake. Do not put this on anything else, really. Here's what single shot fast looks like. Wait, no, not that one. Hold on. Fully automatic. What's not doing it? I had it one time where I put suppressive fire on this thing, and I put it on fully automatic, and this thing was firing like a buzzsaw. And then I crashed my game.
Maybe they patched it.
That's sad. That's really depressing, actually.
That is actually.
On Garrison Group, same thing as before. Garrison Group, just use Ace AI. Ace AI is better. Animals, don't place animals down. They take up server space, like goats. This is a bunch of AI. Very dumb. And they respawn, I think. Audio. This is the most important tab of all time. Because the music tab is here.
Let's go.
Alright, so. How was the music tab organized? You got all your main Halo games, and you got the 19th special. You also have the Optre soundtracks, and there's actually some good ones here, but I need to look into it myself before I can see if there's any good ones. I know Clover has, and he uses some of them. But the main ones you'll be using are just the HMC ones. So you have every Halo game. You also have the 19th special. The 19th special has certain parts of certain soundtracks. So Halo 3 is a big example. Halo 3 soundtracks are mixed together between, like, in game they would play out normally, but as an OST they are like all crumpled together as like some weird OST. So it'll go from like high to low, sad to happy, action to no action, and it's super weird. So, like a good example is Halo Reborn. It starts out very like majestic and lovely, but then it goes to the flood theme. So 19th music, they have a lot of songs in here that are parts of songs. So just the pieces you want, like if you just want the first part of Tip of the Spear or something, very useful. There's also some other stuff in here. There's long ones. There's extended, like We're the Desperate Measures, the ODST one. Extended 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. There's a couple in here that you could just put on and forget about music if you're not confident in yourself. But I'll tell you, it's not that hard to find good music. There's plenty of good music around. You got like 8 games worth of fucking soundtracks here. Halo 4 soundtracks go ridiculously hard. I play these all the time nowadays. After I got like a lot of good feedback about it. If you have music playing already and you do to play music, it will stop the soundtrack for you, but not for everybody. So it'll be super weird, and you won't know when the song is. So be sure about what your brother plays. Play random message. Don't do that. Play sound. This will lag your game very much. This one doesn't really have anything cool in it besides let me stop the music. There's a stop the music soundtrack. Play sound. There's 2 cool ones in here. The rest kind of suck ass, and that's the PLP ones. I did this a couple ops ago, but so yeah, you can make a little nice little things like this if you're, if you have free time. Like you can put this in like a UNSC base or something. Like these guys were chilling before the Covenant attack, or before the Innies attack, before You can always just make cool stuff. That's just a little example. But that's the audio tab. Buildings tab, you won't need this one. Chem lights, you won't need this one. Crow Zeus modules. Don't use the delete all dead. Before I would say use this, but now don't use it.
Wait, why?
Supposedly it has a script in there that actually harms the server rather than helps it. Supposedly.
What does it do to harm the server?
I don't know, man. I just listen to what these other people are saying or complaining about. Let me say that. Draw build, don't use that. Fire support, don't use that. A lot of this don't use. If it's the end of the app after the debrief, you can set A3's color to red.
Let's go.
Scatter. We won't need scatter teleport. We won't need this. Development tools. The only thing you need in here is execute code. So, if you look at my stream, if you ask for a part-time Zeus role, or if you already have SkyGod role, you'll have access to SkyGod General. And in the pin messages, the first one by Griff is this. So, you have run out of units to place. It will give you a shitty little message like, I forget what it is. It's super weird. It's like a super weird message, but you just can't place units anymore. Just go to the pin messages, copy this, go back in, go to the development tools, execute code. I already have it in. Okay. And boom, you can place units again. Very simple. You usually won't run into that unless it's like a big, fatty op. And we are just throwing dudes at the enemy. Effects. This one has some cool ones. Do not use any of these silly ones. Do not use them. Don't. Don't use them. I'll give you a small example of why you won't use them.
Holy shit.
Yes. Example 1 of 20.
Oh. What was that? God, ugh.
Now imagine this running with 40 people on the server. Oh, and you can't delete it. So it disappears.
Oh, so it just stays there.
For a long time, yeah.
Uh-huh.
The next one you have custom fire and smoke pillar, light source, and tracers you can use. Custom fire is as I said, or I didn't say anything about it, but custom fire is okay. So like say you have like a cool little drop zone, I don't know, I'm using this for example. This thing is on fire for some reason, put a little fire here. You can customize the fire too, like I want it to be fat. So now it's like a big area. This one was pretty common sense. Light source, you can place a light source. I've done that to make chem lights look a lot bigger than they are. Because chem lights kind of suck ass, as they are. You can do smoke. I like to use the large wood smoke. I think that one looks pretty good. You can also move it around. I think. Yes. Move it around. Very cool, very awesome. Tracers, don't use this. This is cool, but it's kind of like, where are those tracers coming from? How is this happening? Effects, that's it. Environment, this one's pretty important. Change weather. This is the one you'll use. You won't use the weather one. You use change weather. And you'll always do force changes. Because if you don't, it will not sync up. It'll be really weird. So let's say I'm tired of it being nice and sunny and I want it to be kind of rainy and shitty. Perfect. Now it's raining. Next you have Earthquake. You won't use this one too often. I don't think you'll ever use this one. Unless like it's like a story event or something. High terrain objects. I really don't like this tree. Gone. I mean, I don't think you can rechange it either. Yeah, no, that's just permanently gone. So be very careful. Don't use that. Post-process. Don't use this unless ordered to. Unless you want it to look like fucking Mexico filter. Very stupid. Set date. This is how you'll do your time. You will not do skip time. You will not do time acceleration. You will do set date. This one is very simple. On the right hand side, you might not think this matters, but the month and the day actually do matter. So, January gets very dark very quick. I think the darkest would be December. December is the darkest month. You can put it all the way to the middle. And if you find Friday right here, it has a nice little full moon symbol next to it. So it should be pretty light outside. So since it's raining, let me change the rain real fast. Change weather. Not raining anymore. Notice how bright it is? This is a nice full moon. This is lovely. Full moons are the best days, or the best nights you choose. You can see stuff, you don't have to use NVGs. It looks quite nice. Now obviously you can use other ones if you want to, but I personally just really like full moons. Because I also like being able to see at night. Which kind of goes against it, I know. But that was kind of just up to you. Skip time, time acceleration, and weather. Time acceleration is only used because usually in the editor we'll set the time to 0.1 so it doesn't move. However, in op, you can change it to be really fast, however fast you want. A 24-hour cycle will be whatever the time is, obviously. So if you want like a 12-hour day to be 1 hour, just set it to 2. Very simple. Don't set it to be that fast though. Like I don't know, like 4, 6 times is fine. Equipment. This one, you don't really need to worry about this one. Fire support. Be careful. I'll go over each of these. The human weapons. Now, I'm going to stress human weaponry. Is the 155 howitzer. We're definitely within that blast range. You can move them before they drop. Very simple. It's 155. We were within the blast range. God damn it. I lied.
I see.
You cannot move them.
This is why I turned myself invincible. And Pine is dead.
He's gone.
Fuck, I didn't even... What? I just want to watch the stream.
Nope.
No, you don't get to. You get to explode now.
You're back. Yippee. Okay. Bad example, but actually great example. Be careful with 155s. They'll kill you. They'll kill players very easily. Place them far away from players, where they won't immediately kill everybody. Same thing, the 230mm rocket is not just a rocket, it is a cluster rocket. I will give an example. There's that bright star right there. Cluster bomb. Not nice. Don't use those. EMPs. Don't use these, ever. Don't touch them. 82mm mortars. These are very cool for cinematic effects. However, there is a certain way we use the... Oh, hey, whoever just added all static objects, be careful. Because when you add all static objects, you add you had the game logic, you had the Orbat stuff, you had the vehicle, all the respawns, you had all the Zeus modules, you had the... There's a lot of stuff you don't want to delete. So just be very careful with adding static. You don't usually need to add static to your thing. Besides that, where was I? Oh yeah, when it comes to Arty, how we do Arty is, if you want to use the fire support module, you need to have a piece of Arty on the map. So that could be like a plasma mortar, or like a wraith tank, or like a human mortar, or like a human artillery piece. Whatever, there just has to be something tangible. And then you can use the fire support module. So let's say I put a Covenant mortar down. Now I can use the infantry mortar. How we use this is we do not plant this on players. We plant this near players to make a cinematic experience. But you can place it close enough to scare them, but not really like harm them. And I say that, but A3's in the blast zone, so we'll see what happens. See, I know you'd be fine.
Well, that's...
That's because we're both set invincible.
Yeah,
you're
it set us
fine,
off.
you're fine. He also changed this. These used to be just straight.
Do those glow now?
Yeah, those glow now. That's cool as fuck.
What the fuck? That's sick.
Kind of looks like a Elden Ring boss was here, bro.
I wouldn't know.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah, that is actually really cool.
Kind of like glow in the dark.
I guess,
Awesome.
unfortunately, I'll never see it because I use bright lights.
Yeah. Besides my disgust for bright lights, mortars, very simple. Place them within range to be scary, but don't place them within range to kill. Unless, on the off chance that you are wanting to get them off a position, you can slowly dial it in. If they don't move, and don't dial it in like that. When I say dial it in, do like a barrage out here, and then they don't move. Do a barrage closer. They don't move, do another barrage. This time, almost right on top of them. And if they still aren't moving, then, and only then, are you good to start, placing it a little too close for comfort. Like right here, like right there, or over here. Something that might kill somebody. Obviously not the whole squad, because that'd be dumb. The cast stuff, don't use this. Why? Because it spawns a plane, and then that plane immediately disappears. It is not good. Air will complain, because it's kind of bad. Infantry will complain because it's only there for a split second, and they couldn't even like see it coming in. It's just not good. Don't use it. You don't really need the artillery fire mission. You can use it, I guess. It's kind of up to you. You just place this on an RD piece and you can do stuff with it. Oh, how you do it though, if you are really wanting to do it, I don't recommend doing it because it might fire on friendlies, even if you don't want it to, as you just create a target, whatever. You place an RD unit, and then you place this on the RD unit, and then you have a bunch of settings you can place. And that's it. Flares. They're flares. I don't know what you want from me. These are very simple. How we use these is I like to use these for ambushes. Very nice. Or just to light up an area. Like, if the innies are under attack in this trench line here, I'll like light up the front of the trench line where the players are. To try and, you know, their NVGs, it's going to suck for them because they'll be like, oh man, I can't see anymore. Or something or another. Or if they have low lights on, they'll be like, oh man, it's bright as fuck. And then my innies can kill them. Well, hopefully. Inventory, full arsenals. Try not to use these unless players are like, my custom armor isn't in the arsenal. My custom armor isn't in there. I really need my custom armor, or else I'm going to quit right now.
I feel like this is referencing someone.
Who hurt you?
Not at all.
Would
Who
it
hurt
be,
you?
can I just make like a very easy guess and say McGree?
Moving on. Anyways, on the off chance that you do have to do it, and somebody's really complaining about it, add a full arsenal, and then remove it. Or, you can also add a full arsenal if you totally forgot to download the new arsenal, like I do every other op. Cam?
No, not again, not again! Oh, that was
Nico.
it. No. Okay, that's fine. You can do him.
My balls. Hold on a minute.
I quite
I
like
gotta.
quite like this module. Not to use on players, just at the end of the op, after debrief, I'm going to stress that again. I like to do that on people, or not even on people really. I just do it to like Kiko. That's the only person I do this to is Kiko.
So Kiko isn't a person?
Pretty much.
Okay.
He's got no rights. He's white. Then you got the
Ain't better than
miscellaneous
Debbie.
tab. You got the create edit intel, the heal. You won't use group side. Don't use that. Create edit intel. This one is very fun. I'm gonna give 2 examples.
Where's this music coming from?
The radio.
I no longer
The one that got
exists.
flipped over.
Yeah, my radio got disbanded.
I think my body's covering it.
So, you might be asking why I'm placing these again. So, a cool thing that you can do with create edit intel is optionally you can just place it on the ground and it'll give you an object type, what you want. So I want this to be a document file, I want it to be shared with the side, I want it to be deleted on completion, and I want the action type to be, let's say, hold action. You can use either one, but sometimes hold action doesn't work. So the action text, this is what they'll see when they first walk up to it. So I'm like, inspect the documents. Action sound, search body for like 2 seconds, or 4. Maybe they're really bad at picking things up. And the intel title, intel text is what they'll appear in the thing. So the intel title will be a secret documents. It'll spawn a little file. You can move that around. I'm going to place it on this table here. And theoretically, the hold action should work. Yep. I can hold space to pick up the documents. Or inspect the documents. But, the other cool thing you can do is something me and Clover are trying to get to happen, or do more of, and that is the placing our objects. So something you could do is, I don't want this to delete. I want this to be a hold action. I want the action text to be tune to 90 7 1. 2 seconds. That's the time. Bad example, but this is a example of what you can do. So now, when I walk over to this radio, I can interact with it. And then they can do their little intel tab, and they'll see whatever the hell I just wrote down. Very nifty, very nice. Oh,
Ooh,
that's one
that's
thing.
the first time.
That's one thing I forgot about. U and Y. So, well, Y if you're an infantryman, but U in space is what it is.
Ooh.
So if I press U on this pelican, if you press space, it'll take you to that pelican. This is a way for Zeus's to really, like, if I need to show you something, I can just press this, and you can press space, and you're there. And you can see what I'm looking at. Or, usually for players it's Y, but if a player pings you, you just press space, like, I can't press it when I'm a Zeus, but
When you press U while you're in.
nah.
What?
But you ping that, you just press space, and boom, it's this retard. That's pinging. It's me. And that's how you solve pings. You're going to get pinged a lot. Expect to see it a lot. However, with players, they have something special. In the bottom left of your screen, to the right of the edit tab, will be a nice little box that'll say the ping box, and it'll tell you who just pinged you and how long ago. It could be like 2 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, 10 seconds ago, so on and so forth. That's it. Heal. I don't know. Toggle unconscious, I guess. You just got
Ooh,
shot. You got unfairly shot because I was an Arma event happened, or I don't know. You got skill issued, and I felt really bad for you. You can heal somebody.
Yippee! I'm
So
back.
a good example is Last Stop. Last Stop, when the two scarabs had annihilated everybody in the trenches and were walking over everybody. It was really like a War of the Worlds moment. Everybody was like running down. Everybody that was alive was like running down the hill away from the scarabs. But all the dudes in the trenches were dead, but they were still like, they were just down. So what I did is I did right clicked, I did a radius heal of 150 meters, and everybody that was at the fucking, I forgot what it was called, the ship point 10,000. Everybody that was still in those trenches was back alive. And that's something you can do to make ops more fun.
Was this Wayside?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So that's just something you can do to make it more fun for people. It's not fun dying at like a really cool moment of the op, like when the two scarabs were coming in. It's not cool to die and just look at a black screen for like 20 minutes. So sometimes, and I stress the sometimes part, I'll give a free Z heal to people, and sometimes even a lot of people, like I did last Saturday. It just, it's fun. We're not here to be like super duper serious. MRH models, you won't use that. Objectives, don't use that. Objects. I'll go ahead and show this one. I didn't show it last time, but I'll show it this time. A good example would be elephant. AA turret. And I don't know. Fucking mortar. Why not? It's totally a smart idea in this. So what you can do is you can attach to. I'm going to select this rocket turret, and then I'm going to select the elephant. Then I'm going to select this mortar. Then I'm going to select the elephant. Now I can move this around without without breaking anything. So now I can put it inside of it, like really dumb-like, or I can put it on top like this. Make sure it lines up. I'm going to put the mortar in the back. And on top of that, I'm going to do something special. Sometimes, very rarely, sometimes we'll do this. We'll do a mobile respawn elephant. So you always put the yeah. So you put the respawn, and the respawns will always be under respawn, obviously. And you do players blue 4, and you place it behind the elephant, somewhere like that, something like that, so they don't like phase into this and die horribly. And you also do the attach. Alright, hold on. I think you attached this to that. Oh, I was doing the attach flag. Whoops.
No, you were doing the right thing.
Unit must be infantry. Oh! I was doing the stupid equipment. There's an
Effect
equipment
one,
one
yeah.
called effect. It's really dumb, retarded. There you go. Okay. I thought I was going
It's
crazy.
really
Now...
real quick.
Say what?
No, I just wanted to see if it would actually move.
Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna hop in it and hop in again. Hop in again or something, or just hop on. Oh, if you right click and you do teleport Zeus on an object or like a vehicle, you can just TP into it. That's how I TP'd into the
Oh, look at
elephant.
that. I just spawned in it.
Yep. So now I can move this around. You guys can be firing off your guns. There's a respawn behind us, and this could
Does the
just
respawn
be
actually move?
Yeah, it actually moves. It is actively moving with us.
I can't see the respawn without static objects, but that's actually really cool.
Yeah, so this is we don't really do this often because Air's like, well, we like to reinsert people because that's
No, they
awesome."
don't. I've gotten air complaining about that so many times.
That's what Luby tells me all the time. Or
Alright.
I'm pretty sure it's Luby. He's like, Air needs to do air reinserts. But yeah, this is a cool way to do something like a mobile respawn. It's very awesome sauce, I think. I've done this for a
Like
few
sick.
side ops because side ops don't really have air, so I just do this. It's very simple. That's how you use the attach detach. Don't use the stupid effect one when you're looking it up in the search bar. What's this? I'm gonna do something very dangerous.
Oh no, that's gonna crash soon.
Oh, that's gonna... It's not gonna crash, it's just gonna blow up.
Oh. Am I alive, son?
Yeah? You have... I set everyone to invincible.
No, I respawned myself though.
Oh, did you? You should still have it here. Hold still.
Only for attached objects. I don't know, there's something. I was just testing out some things. Don't use the rest of this, I think.
Hey, Con, you would know better than I. Sometimes Zeuses can lose, like, Zeus permissions if they die. Is that when a player kills them? Or if they just die in general?
That's just if you die in general. It'll only be for like a minute or something.
Okay.
Don't die, because you'll lose it, and then when you start pressing Y and you just start pinging the shit out of whoever else is Zeusing.
Fair.
Just give it a minute or two.
See, I don't fuck with it. Gotcha.
Yeah, something like that. Create teleporter. This one, we don't really use this one, but it could be used. You just make 2 of these. And you're done. You can name them, you can give them names. Like, I could have named that one base 1, named that one base 2. Now you go up to the T people, and you just select where you want to go. You can have, like, a whole, like, network of these things. But I think it looks kind of dumb, so we use something different. We actually do, like, some scripting instead of Eden. Alright, now we're on to teleport players. This one, you'll use this one a lot. If somebody dies unfairly or they crash or something, they'll ask you to TP them back to their squad. Now, most of the times, I have a feeling these people are lying to me, and they actually just died and got skill issued. But A3, you got skill issued, and you're like, oh man, my armor crashed. I'm like, okay, what squad are you in? You ask what squad they're in, they'll tell
Oh.
you, you find whoever the squad leader is, and boom.
Can't you just right click them though? To teleport
Yeah.
the squad
Oh.
mate?
Yeah, there's also another one. There's a teleport squad mate. You can also do teleport players. I like that one a lot. Because then, so teleport players, if you use the module, you can't place them on objects. But if I do teleport players, like by the right-clicking one, I have a little crosshair. So I want you to be in this watchtower. And that's the cool thing about the right-click teleport players, because I can put you on any like height surface. It's very awesome sauce.
Sick.
I'm zooming.
Just be careful, because sometimes I've killed people
Oh.
on accident. Reinforcements, don't use this. Respawn, don't use this unless you like make a respawn elephant. Resupply, don't use that. Scenario flow, don't do in scenario ever.
What is in scenario though?
It literally just ends the mission. And then we go back to the main
I
menu.
see. I see.
Side relations. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I want Blue 4 and Independent to be angry at each other. But I want Blue 4 and Op 4 to be friendly to each other. And now I have changed the side relations. And they'll attack each other on site. Smoke shells. Remember, smoke lags the server in any shape or form. I'll give you one example. Let us say, for instance, we have just defended against a massive Covenant attack. A couple specters, I guess.
What key are you using to destroy those?
The end key.
The end key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
So if you notice, before I did that and after I did that, the frames have dropped significantly. Smoke in any form causes a lot of lag. And this happens a lot during ops, because there'll be like waves of specters, a wave of ghosts, or you guys will get fucked, and all your warhogs will blow up. And there'll just be a shit ton of smoke flying around the battlefield. So I'll try to clean it up a little bit. Like I'll say max 2 smoke wrecks, or maybe max 3 smoke wrecks. Just because each cloud of smoke you get rid of just makes it better for server performance. It'll look a little unrealistic with a bunch of vehicles despawning, but it's better to save the server than have a stupid little fire effect running around. This applies to smoke grenades too. So what you can also do for this is we don't give out any smoke grenades for the most part. So if you want any attack to be like super cool and like tactical or some shit, you can place this like right before an ambush or like right before an attack. Make it look like they popped it themselves. Now these enemies are really smart and using smoke and shit. And that's about that. Somebody was asking this too. If you are playing as the Covenant, do not use red smoke. Why would the Covenant use red smoke for Artie? It's not smart. Don't do it. Just smoke in general, don't use it for Covenant. They wouldn't use it. They don't need to use it. If you're playing as Ennies, feel free to use the red smoke. I don't use it too often, but I do use it, like occasionally. Because it's not going to happen every single time, you know. These guys are a bunch of insurgents. They're just going to like yip yap at like where the fuck these guys are. No, I was going to use red smoke. They're not like super trained like we are. But that's that. Now we're on to spawn. Don't use that. T-FAR, don't use that. Training, don't use that. 2TS beam, don't use that. Zeus. The only thing you need here is, well, the three things you need here. Promote to Zeus. Sometimes Zeus's where somebody else doesn't spawn with the Zeus mode, just promote them. It's that simple. You just put it on them. They're a Zeus now. Give it a minute to like a minute 30 to fully load. Remote control, don't use this. I'll go over that keybind too. If you ever need to direct control something, like say a Spectre AA with dudes in it. Oh, if you're wondering how I did that too, at the bottom right, place vehicles with crew. Make sure that's selected if you need crew. Make sure it's not selected if you don't need crew. Very important. All you have to do is control, double left click, and then you're in the unit. And you can like move around and shit. You do your thing. Same thing for infantry. I'll show you something. Web Knight. If you don't know this already, Web Knight AI does not play like normal AI.
Waiting.
The only thing you can do with Web Knight AI, which is the hunters, the elites, and the grunts, is you can only move them around. And that's if they're not in combat. If they see an enemy they don't like, they will ignore all of your inputs. So like, let's say I spawn in a medical truck. And man, they hate this. Like, I'm trying to tell this guy to move, and he's just kind of stuck in his animation. It's very difficult to control these guys when they're in the middle of that. But yeah, that's that example. Just be careful with Web Knight AI. They don't really like to follow orders, but when you do get them to follow orders, it's really funny. But that's how you direct control stuff. You'll be using that a lot. How do we direct control? The way I do it is, if you're going to direct control, be smart with it. We're not here to win.
Ready.
So like Swade, let's say you're the player I'm shooting at or something. The way I do it is I'll usually like play as the guy and be like really obvious where I am. Be like, hey, look at you, I'll kill you, bitch. And like I shoot around you. And if I'm using like a really low power weapon like this thing, I'll just shoot you in the foot or something. And then I gotta like run away or something. Pretty simple. You gotta be nice with it. If you play to kill, a very good example. Well, I'm not gonna name names, but don't just kill people to kill people. That's very stupid. I very, very rarely kill people by direct controlling. The only thing I'll ever do is do wounding shots against people, and sometimes that knocks them out. Or like if I'm shooting at, I don't know, whoever that is, I like, you know, be very bad with it. However, sometimes I do aim to kill. And that's like final objectives or boss encounters. You know, things that make sense like that. Also, you can.
I remember you 1v1 Lance one time.
Or you can do that. But yeah, just be smart with it. Don't aim to kill for the most part. Sometimes you can. If the platoon is doing really good and they are like pushing your shit in, feel free to like give them like a couple of knockouts. You know, like knock out one of the guys, knock out two of the guys. Just slow them down. Don't target people by spawning AI. I cannot stress that enough. Slade, if you are right here, and I spawn a dude right here, and I direct control him, and I'm like, oh man, I already knew you were right there because I'm a Zeus, and then I kill you, that should be dog shit stupid. That's retarded as fuck. Don't do that, ever. If you're going to direct control somebody and try to kill somebody, do it with somebody that's already placed. Like placed down. So like if I already had like a jackal in here and I direct controlled him and I walked all the way out here. And try not to do it with the knowledge that somebody is somewhere. So let's say for instance that I am in this holding pen here. I am around this corner and I am waiting for enemies to pass. If I see this in my Zeus interface, I know where he is. Or I know where I am. I can see him. However, the AI you would spawn, so like a Kikyar, would not know where he is. So if I just fucking if I direct controlled a dude, and I went to exactly where I knew this guy to be, that'd be really unfair. Because the AI would, they obviously wouldn't know he's right here. But I know as a Zeus where he is. So, a part of this is playing dumb. You gotta play dumb. You gotta pretend you don't know where they are, and you gotta play like you're actually the AI. So like you're shooting over here, and if you glance and you see him, or if he does something to make him seen, then you're like, oh man, there's a dude right there. You don't just go with the foreknowledge of where everybody is. That's stupid, dumb, cheating, and it's very unfair to the people who are playing. But that's it. Zeus Lightning Bolt, don't use this. Don't ever use this. The only time Zeus Lightning Bolts are acceptable is if it is storming. And you need like ambiance. So like if it was storming right now, I'd do like a, I don't know, lightning bolt in the distance. Make it sound cool. Make it look cool. Marker tab, don't use this. Unless like you really need to. Unless like an objective just came up. And you're like, oh man. Hey squads, be advised, a new objective just dropped right here. The survivors are over here. How markers work is you place them down, you go into your map, and then you can edit them. So I want this to be the boys. X marks the spot. And that's where they are. That's the marker tab, very simple. You got your... Just look through them. The ones you usually use are the drawn in the military. The other ones are kind of like, whatever. You don't really need these. They're a bunch of bullshit. Recent. This tab is a very fun tab. So, you might notice, there's a little bit of everything in here. These are all modules that I have used recently. So instead of hunting down modules like a fucking psychopath all the time, and trying to find what you need, you can just go to your recent tab and find what you've already used and what you want to use again. So like, oh man, I really want to do that smoke familiar, and I want to spawn a wraith right next to it, and I want to change the side relations, and I want to, I don't know, spawn a turret right here, and I want to put a marker down where these guys are, and I did all that within like 5 seconds. If you did that by trying to do the modules menu, you'd have to look for it first. Oh man, here it is. Then you have to go to the other one, find it, go to the other one, find that, and then if you want to place down units, you have to go all the way to your custom compositions. With the recent tab, it is so easy to just place down dudes. This also works for custom comps. So if I place down some elite infantry, the next thing in my recent tab is elite infantry. So now, I have everything I need in one place. This is a very useful tool. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, now we're on to some... We're finishing up now, but there's one concept I want to go over. And it has to do with placement of enemies. Very important. So I'll do this real simple, like... I'm going to give each of you a zone, and I want each of you to spawn a squad of 19th Marines. Just 19th Marine Squad.
Understood.
And I want to show you some stuff you can do with these squads. Humans, in particular. I'm also going to say that the jackals count as humans. They're like human entities. So you can actually do a lot of stuff with these dudes. And I'll show that off. So, what can you do with these guys? That's really cool. It is the... you can double click on them. So like you click on the little icon above their head, and you can double click on, like a dude. And then you can edit their stuff here, or you could double click on the icon. You can edit their stance, their combat stuff, how fast they're going, what stance they are. But for my purpose, I want to double click on a dude while the whole squad is selected. And what I can do from here is I can go to the abilities tab. You get a whole bunch of bullshit, but the one I want to disable is pathing. So now they can't move. But there's a recent addition to this. We have headless client. What does that do? It resets the AI every so often. Nebby put it really low last stop, but every time the AI resets, even if their path is off, they will try to reform the squad. So, what do I do to get around this? I disband the squad, and I make sure their pathing is on off. So now, I can place these dudes around in positions that I want them to be in. I can place them individual ones to standing, crouching, however I want them to be, and they'll stay in that position. It's the same thing if we don't have headless client. So let's say this 19th squad. So now I can move them around without them trying to reform the squad, and they'll stay in their cover. I will stress this. This is so much better than trying to use the Ace Garrison. It is better in the sense that you can set it up how you want. It's better in the sense that you can get the fields of fire that you want, and it also doesn't look lazy. Because with Ace Garrison, it also misses a lot of cool spots you could use. Like, say you wanted to set up a ambush in here, but you use Ace Garrison. It's just going to put the one dude in the corner like it did earlier. However, if you place them manually, which doesn't take more than a couple seconds, I can have a, like, let's pretend the hangar door is closed. I could have like a couple of dudes here, like waiting like a little ambush, and I could have like a team behind them. Or I could like make them use cover, like I do with like I like to do this a lot. I like to make the AI use the cover in like the environment. This is something you can't get with Ace Garrison. Ace Garrison is very lazy, and I don't recommend it at all. I recommend placing your dudes manually. Now, obviously, this area kind of sucks for a demonstration, since it's just an open hangar. But this is what I want to have happen. So, each of you spawn a squad.
Real quick, just before we get sidetracked. How did you quickly disable their pathing individually?
So just spawn a squad. I'm just gonna spawn jackals. I select the whole squad. I double click on one dude, go into abilities, and then disable.
No, I got you.
And now it's disabled for all of them.
Alright, that's fair. Thank you.
Yep. So I want each of you to spawn a squad of 19th Marines, just a regular old squad.
On the way!
How do you disband them?
So you click on the whole squad, you hold down Control, and drag away.
Oh,
And-
okay.
Yeah. And then you can reband the squad, or you can make new squads. You can make like fire teams out of that squad. But to make a fire team, you have to drag them out of the squad and then back into their own little thing. So like I want these guys to be, look at this.
Sick.
Now they're in fire teams. So when you have your squad spawned, I want A3. I want you to. This place kind of sucks. We're gonna go somewhere else.
Go by the hospital.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
here.
looking at yeah. That's a good area. We were supposed to use this area that up, but I never. The ODSTs kind of plowed through it, and I forgot about it. It was a whole objective. But yes. Players, teleport players, all. So, A3, I want you to fortify the roof of this hospital, as well as the lobby, with one squad of Marines. Slade.
one squad each or just one squad?
Just one squad.
No, my chair.
Slade, I want you to fortify this row of buildings. There's just these three.
Right.
And I want you to have it like have cover like outside too, not just like inside. Give them like good firing angles and everything. And Pine, I want you to fortify the outside of the hospital, specifically the medical station, and this shitty little U-shaped building right here.
Yippee. U-shape.
Yep. So just use one squad. And what we're trying to practice right now is squad placement or AI placement. I try to stress this a lot when I'm Zeusing. you can place AI in good-looking positions, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So I'll set up an area too, like here we go. I'll set up this little fucking roundabout.
Understood.
I'm gonna take my guys off of squad mode because Headless Client sucks ass. And remember, you can set each of them individually, like their stance, even if they're in a squad.
How do you detach the groups?
So what you do is you select the whole group, hold down Control, and then drag away from the group. And then it should just be on the squad.
Okay.
Why do our 19th Marines not use 19th equipment?
Oh, that's actually an interesting story. So our equipment... Oh, that dude just died. Damn. Be wary of objects that are not actually solid. So 19th equipment is actually very laggy. The same way our
Really?
Oryxes and our armored vehicles are laggy and our Pelicans. The visual fidelity comes at a price of all of our frames.
That is very fair, actually.
And the 19th weapons... the 19th weapons are also kind of bad. From what I remember, the visual fidelity is pretty high, but the ammo counters is where the big issue lies.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
I don't remember why the ammo counters is, but it's a big issue, supposedly. So, I'll give it like another minute or something. I'm gonna sip my cream soda and try and relax my throat. Talking for way too long. I don't think I'm hosting. I'm asking you guys. I don't think I'm hosting Eden training tonight.
That's fair.
We really need Eden training.
Yeah, I'll host it tomorrow.
That's fair. Actually, it's the 4th.
Oh yeah, tomorrow is the 4th. I don't know. I'll host it another time, cause man, we've been going for like 2.5 hours.
How we got in?
Now, whenever you're done, just say something. No, it's
I'm done here.
All right.
I'm just having some fun right now.
I might change a few things, but yeah, I'm pretty set.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll do mine as the first example. So when you're setting up an area, I like to think of which direction are they coming from. How can I set up like fields of fire? How can I use cover to my advantage? You know, like a player would. In this case, I don't know where anybody's coming from, so I just kind of got like 360 everywhere. I got some dudes like, you know, in different cover, like this dude. Make it look unique, make it look nice and shiny. This guy's outside. This guy's on the roof. These guys are inside, protecting the building. This guy's standing. This guy's crouching. This guy's laying down. They all have different stances. Let's look at A3s first. Doo-doo-doo.
That guy crouching in, I should be fine with that.
I like the downstairs. The downstairs is very good. If the enemy was coming up the stairs, this would be fine. I like to use the roofs a lot. Like, I'll put dudes like on the edge right here. And they'll like, just their heads are like poking up, and they'll be like shooting dudes. Very hard to hit. Because
Yeah, I just kind of wanted the squad lead not easily shootable.
yeah, and I like that you put the AT man in a good AT man position. I also think it's very evil to have the machine gunner at the door, which is very good. I like it. But yeah, this is good. Only notes I have to say about that is maybe using the walls over here, but that's a personal opinion. Did you place down these sandbags?
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so you can add props to your stuff. It's very easy to do. Something, I'll give a little example. Some players have mentioned it before, but when we're fighting innies, something they like to see is CCPs. So, they like to see stuff that we do. So you know how we set up CCPs? Sometimes I like to set up stuff like, these are also very hard to use, because the drag direction is the opposite of, like, where you expect it to be. But, you know, I like to make, like, a nice little trench line or something. Or you can make, like, a little CCP right here. Makes, like, some medical kits. And then you can use the ambient animation to make some dudes that are wounded or something. But, I'll tell you something. Dudes who are in the ambient animation, if they are on the enemy side, if a player gets close to them, they will attempt to kill him by,
What?
melee.
Yeah.
So I had that happen to me a few ops ago when we were fighting the Iraq campaign. I had a CCP, and some dudes went in to secure the wounded guys, but then the wounded guys got up and started fighting them in hand to hand as soon as they got close to them, which is really funny. But just make sure if you have wounded people, they're on civilian. And how do you do that? You select the little icon above their head, and you can select their side. Very handy. There we go. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like. I like to use the sandbags.
I was trying to do animations for those two in the middle.
Yeah, especially if this is like a fresh compound. Having dudes that kind of just look like they're talking, you know, that's very cool. If it's like a fresh compound. I like this. Very nice. Placement, in my opinion, is very important. Because you can use Zeus all you want. But if you're to place an AI, like, just like, I don't know. An example would be like this. Like, if you just place an AI like
Ready
this,
for orders.
and there's like 7 of them. Why are they getting on me? If there's like 7 of them just kind of like sitting in this thing, and they're all just like spread out evenly. Just kind of vibing in here for no reason. It's kind of stupid. So I think placement is very important when it comes to Zeusing. I like this. Very nice.
I just kind of did this. Oh, he fell down.
Some
I was
objects,
tr-
some objects are
Yeah.
kind of weird. I know this.
like he
map,
was just sitting on top of the roof, and I don't know what happened.
I know this map uses some old objects. You gotta be careful with these old maps. Like I tried to put a guy on the radio tower over here. Oh, actually, this floor works. These floors do not work.
Oh,
Oh,
no, they do not.
Yes,
Who was that?
some dude,
Oh, okay.
some guy, some guy.
how do you do those idle animations?
You just ambient animations.
Yep, it's an AI. First step.
Reminds me. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, this all looks good. I like the little conversation going on over here. Very nice. I stress this enough because placing AI, anyone can do it, but placing AI in like good positions, not everybody can do it. And I try to stress the, you know, try to improve yourself when it comes to placing stuff. You guys all did good. It's just sometimes in the heat of ops, you could just like, so instead of like what we just did, where let's say A3 placed all these dudes in the hospital. I'll delete all you guys A3. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Instead of A3 placing all these guys in the hospital, he was like, "Oh man, I'm feeling kind of lazy today," and he did Ace Garrison.
Yeah.
most of those AI are just gonna like kind of teleport around, go to random places. 2 of the AI ended up in the actual hospital, and one of them's standing on top of the helipad, and the other's like sort of in an okay position, and the rest are God knows where. It's probably spread out in here.
Yeah, the problem I have with, like, for example, the hospital is the Zeus camera kind of gets buggy as shit, so it's hard to move through the floors.
It does. Use the shift key a lot when you're.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like randomly accelerates and decelerates.
Oh yeah, especially if you're passing over like a area like this.
Oh god, yeah.
It just depends. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. ACI Garrison is very bad. It's super bad. It also places guys in the most random buildings on the planet. Like,
There's a couple over at my place.
Yeah. I mean, there were. I thought he deleted them.
yeah,
No,
no,
there's
Did he
still.
not?
Oh wait, no, no. I still have one guy here just randomly.
Damn.
yeah, a lot of these guys will kind of just TP randomly, and they're always in bad spots. I don't recommend using it. Once you do it enough, like it becomes second nature. Like I do it every time, so I'm very fast with it. I'm very quick with it. I can make like an AO on the, very quick. Oh, another bad example of something not to do. Very, very bad example. If the players are attacking a compound, do not just have
Understood.
a squad placed like this. I've seen this a couple times. They'll just have a full squad in whatever formation they're in, just sitting in the compound. That's it. That's the fight. This is about the most uninteresting thing you do, and the laziest. Stressing this a lot. Place your dudes effectively. It only takes a couple seconds. And if you are struggling for time, or you think you don't have enough time, be quick with it. I don't even worry about stances. Just like, I want guys on top of this hospital. I want guys in this parking garage. One behind cover. I want some guys out here defending. I want some guys over here laying down. And I want one guy in the roof watching. That's all it takes. It only takes a couple seconds. It's not the best one in the world, but it gets the job done. And it looks a lot better than a bunch of dudes kind of just standing in formation in the middle of the road. I've seen that a lot, and it kind of sucks. Another thing you can do to spice up your environment. Remember, you have access to vehicles.
Copy that.
That has a full squad of dudes in it.
Copy that.
That has a full squad of dudes in it.
On the way.
There we go. Spice up your environment. You got this. You got turrets. I don't think Clover has turrets in his comp. It's something I do for my comps, so I put turrets in them. Because it's very nice. Oh, hold on. That was a bad example.
Do we use turrets that often?
I use turrets that often.
That's fair.
I like turrets. Quite like them. I think these guys are green for. Oh, this is Clover's comp. That's why. Here we go. Here's mine. I have a whole tab dedicated to turrets. I have a whole tab dedicated to my special forces. I have the tab dedicated to my infantry. Then I have my vehicles, and I have my air transports. So if I wanted a turret, like a
Roger.
AA turret here, place it on the roof. Or if I wanted a
Understood.
LMG, I really like using these. I'll put them in cool position. I'll put them in cool positions
Solid copy.
like this without dying.
Contact. Static MG.
Are they hostile? I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not hostile. This is fine. But yeah, just spice up your areas. And they don't have to be manned either. Something you could do is just place down some vehicles that are empty. Like, for instance, this is a hospital. I'm going to have a couple, I don't know. Have a
Am
little
I
APC.
a bird right now?
Huh?
What? Is that me as a bird?
Yeah. Just press Y and Y again. You'll be out of it. You probably won't notice it. Somebody has to tell you. But yeah, you can make places cool. Like I have a couple cop cars here, maybe an ambulance.
The holding control thing to keep things like stuck to your cursor is kind of nice though too. If you know what I mean. No, like if you place it down, it'll still remain.
Oh, like that, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Another thing you can do is, if you didn't know, you can move things like the rotation before you place them.
Oh,
So
what
like,
key is that?
it's the shift key. So if I wanted an ambulance to spawn like this, set it up, spawn it, and boom. Very simple. This training probably went on a little too long, but that's fine. There's a lot of stuff to go over. I probably crammed your head with a lot of knowledge, but there's a lot of knowledge that needs to be used. Everything I talked about is pretty important. There's a lot to consider when you're Zeusing. There's a lot. You're in charge of 40 people on a laggy ass piece of shit Arma 3 box, and you gotta try to make a fun op for 40 people with all differing opinions on what a fun op is. It's actually very easy. Don't stress about it too much. Zeusing is actually very fun. I love it. I love Zeusing. For those who are not part-timers here, if you're interested in becoming a part-timer, how it is you only have to do it once a month. That's it. You can do it as many times as you want, but the requirement is just once a month. So like once every 3 ops or something, or once every 4 ops. It's not like a big thing, but it will help you get into Zeusing. That's how I got into Zeusing, because I did part-timing. Because I also wanted to play with my squad, which I used to be a Hop 3 boy, but I also wanted to play with my squad, but I also wanted to Zeus, so you can have both. But if you really, really like Zeusing after doing part-timing, then you can just become a full Sky God, like I am. Yeah, pretty fun. I recommend it. I think that is the conclusion for today, and that is just part 1. A lot of this stuff you'll get by experience actually Zeusing, because this is just like knowledge course stuff. I'm just showing you, trying to tell you, trying to cram knowledge in your head. A lot of this you might not remember. That's fine. I made a lot of mistakes Zeusing. I still make mistakes Zeusing. It's a lot to remember. You just need experience. You'll be fine. Same thing with anything in the world. Experience. You'll get it after, a little bit. You might get it right away. Any questions? I forgot to ask that like 20 questions ago, but.
I mean, now you're good. There is one thing that I do have a question about that I did kind of join this for, in all honesty.
Sure.
It's kind of a perfect fit that it's this map. So with the Halcyon class cruiser, right?
Right.
I was unable on Hopside to get the supply pods into the hangar. I could not spawn them in there for the life of me. I can get pelicans,
Oh.
I can get everything else,
Well, you know why?
but supply pods just do not go.
So the reason why is when you're placing from the custom comps, they don't spawn on solid objects. So what you have to do is, well, if you're really quick with it, you can spawn them on the water and try to put them in.
Yeah, and then drag them up with alt. I tried that, but it didn't work well.
Gotta be quick. Gotta be quick.
How's it going, Gonic? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Just make sure they are like on the ground. I'll demonstrate once I find a piece of land.
Yeah.
We're pretty much done with our thing, Cam. I'm just trying to show how to do the supply pod thing. I was able to do it in the water last time. That was just because I got lucky or something.
Maybe.
Oh shit! I just dropped them.
Yeah, this is just why I really don't like floating spawns.
Yeah, it sucks sometimes, but it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's just kind of really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta make sure. So when you're placing them, I might be able to do it right now.
Kong, so who's planning the fun op Saturday?
Great idea. There you go. See?
Oh.
So when you have them, make sure they're not like in the floor. Make sure they'll snap. See how it snapped? Yeah. Make sure it snaps to the floor and then it plays.
If I do something like this and jump to the.
So the fun op. What is today? Oh shit! It's Wednesday. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what we're doing for the fun op. I have nothing planned. I thought it was gonna be LOA this week, so I kind of just didn't do anything. But it turns out I'm not LOA, so I will be here. But now there's nothing. There's not really anything planned.
We could. No.
Alright, guys,
do-
I gotta go.
Yeah, I know it's late as fuck.
A3, I need you as well.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
I'm gonna post this video. I'll ping everybody about it later.